Hello Internet, hello and welcome to Oogie First Impressions. Now, Oogie got released this Friday to the public because I don't pay for early access anymore. And I freaking love this hero. So I just want to give you my first impressions of this hero. Don't consider this a guide because it is not. You will get an Oogie guide eventually, but that's gonna take me a little bit more time and a little bit more games. I haven't played a lot of him. I only played Oogie, but I haven't played a lot. And he is fun, and I think I know how to play him, and I think I can give you some tips, but don't take these for God's words, because they are not. They are just what I can say after having him played just a few games. So let's get started.
Now, Oogie's signature ability would be Tar Quake. Tar Quake allows you to spawn a little Tar Quake in an area in a pretty huge radius actually, that deals a little bit of damage and slows the enemy. The interesting part about this ability is the more you use it, the more powerful it gets and the more mana it costs. So as you can see, the first use cost me 100 mana, the second use 140, third use 180, and it would cost up to 300 mana because you can stack it up to 5 times. Now the crazy part about this ability is that it costs more mana. I know I already mentioned that, but if you take a look at this, I'm trying to use it as often as I can while in the well. This is at level 1. I won't be able to use it another time. This is by sitting in the well. Now imagine you are in a lane. You won't be able to use this ability very often because you just don't have the mana necessary to do so. Again, once. Let's wait the full duration until I have full mana. Here we go. Twice. Three times. Now I think I can use it a fourth time. Yeah, I can use it 4 times. But I won't be able to use it 5 times. Because I don't have the mana necessary to do so, as you can see. And this is why sitting in the well. This is a problem this hero has during the early stages. He just doesn't have the mana necessary to support spamming Tar Quake. Now this is of course not his only ability. He also got Conflagrate. I'm really sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. But anyways, this ability allows him to run quicker and deal magic damage in an area around him based on mana he loses while having this ability activated. Now, as you can see, this is at level 7. I deal 66 damage per second and I run with 380 movement speed. Even though this may not seem terrible, it's just not worth it in my opinion. This ability is a very powerful late game ability, because if you stack it up enough, you're gonna deal like 200 magic damage per second in an area around you, which is very powerful indeed, but early on it just doesn't cut it. I just don't feel like you should get this ability early on. I think you should wait, and I even think you should skip it, because I just don't feel like the hero has the mana necessary to support using both of his abilities during the early stages of the game, which also include like levels 12 to 14. He just doesn't have the mana to do so. Now take a look at this. This is how much mana this ability drains. 5% every second. If you couple this with the Tar Quake, you really can't support this. You can't. It's just not possible. You can do so once you have a high mana pool, but early on it's just straight up impossible, and I don't think you should get this ability early on. It's an amazing ability later on. This is pretty much your carry ability, but early on it just kind of lacks the ability to do anything. Oogie's passive, Kindled Fury, is a very powerful ability, both early and late game. Now, what does it do? It takes a percentage of the mana you are missing, adds it as magic damage on your next hit, and also gives some mana back to you. Let me just show it to you. I'm gonna hit this Undead Warrior. Take a look at my mana. And here we go. It restored a little bit of my mana. Now, this doesn't seem very powerful. It just doesn't deal a lot of damage, and the mana restored isn't all that much. But let's just consider I am really low on mana, but I actually do have a lot of mana. This also shows the power of the Conflagrate later on. Now, let's hit that Undead Warrior again. Boom! That's a lot of damage, and it restored a lot of mana. And also, this ability's cooldown reduces by 1 second for every 100 mana you use. Now let's try that on this Undead Warrior again. Okay, used it. And Kindle Fury is activated. Just take a look at how low of a cooldown this ability actually has. I run in, hit him once, spam this, again, can use it again. And I can do so all the time, all day long. This is amazing. Now late game, as you can see, it provides you with a lot of damage, and it also provides you with a shit ton of mana to play with. But probably the greatest part of this ability would be the early game power. But before we get into that, I'm gonna talk about his ultimate. The ultimate, Primal Surge, transforms you into some kind of... I don't even. But it transforms you, and every time you take damage, so let's just try this. Every time you take damage, you restore a little bit of mana. And every time you use mana, it heals you just a tiny little bit. Now, let's try this with an actual enemy. Now here we got Amon-Ra hitting on our poor little Oogie. We really don't have any mana and don't have any HP. Let's activate the ultimate. And here we go, restoring just a little bit of mana at a time. Activating our Conflagrate and start hitting. And as you can see, I win. This is the I win button of this hero. It doesn't last too long, so you kind of have to be very careful with it. But it's incredibly powerful. And it really does provide you with a lot of utility.
Now, if we consider all of his abilities, I can suggest a skill build. Actually, I can suggest two. First of all, you always want to max out the passive as your second ability. All we have to think about is whether or not we want to get Conflagrate or the Tarquake. I personally always want to get Tarquake. I just think it's the better ability. I just think it helps you out a lot more early on. The slow is amazing, the burst damage is just much more useful than the consistent damage. But I can see the appeal of Conflagrate, or whatever it's called. I don't think it's bad getting it early on. I actually do have a game right here. I played with Conflagrate early on and it worked not that bad, I have to admit. It just wasn't as effective as Tarquake, I felt like. I personally would suggest getting Tarquake first, the passive second, and Conflagrate somewhere at around like level 15 a point of it, so you have 1 point with the level 16 ultimate. And since the mana drain is the same at all levels, you really don't need more than that to get the heal. And I don't know how your mana pool is gonna be at that point. If you do have really good farm, you might want to get it earlier than that. But I don't think it's necessary. I think it can wait and you don't have to get it that early on. The greatest thing about this hero is actually not his early game power, not his late game power, but the way how he gets that power. Because unlike most carries, what Oogie can do is buy utility items, which provide him with the damage and the mana he needs to keep on spamming. By talking about utilities items, I mean stuff such as the Gnome's Wisdom, the Storm Spirit, the Tablet of Command, all of which are amazing items on this hero. The Sheepstick provides him with a ton of damage. It's just so much utility, coupled with damage, coupled with survivability, coupled with everything. It's just great. You can even get the Frostified Plate, which is just amazing on this hero. It's just so good. I love utility. I love utility items because I just think they provide so much for the team. And having a carry that can buy those which will also improve his damage, his carry potential. It's just amazing to me. This is the greatest strength of this hero, and you should play him in a utility way. That's just what I think, that's just what I felt like was most effective. Let me show it to you. Let me just show you a few of my games where I play Oogie.
I mentioned earlier that the true power of Kindled Fury is during the early stages of the game. Now, in this clip I'm going up against the solo Nighthound in a one-on-one scenario at the bottom lane. As you can see, my mana isn't the highest, but with the passive it just restores quite a bit every time I get a hit in on a creep. And this allows me to spam the target to harass the Nighthound. I sadly missed one, but still it's a lot of pressure onto the enemy. And with the Kindled Fury, I just restore a lot of mana and can keep the pressure up on me. It's a pretty simple concept, but it works great. Very, very powerful indeed. And here we go, Tempest is incoming, and we will be able to pick up a kill on the already weakened Nighthound. Now in this clip I'm gonna fight against Nighthound one-on-one. I mentioned earlier that a big problem with this hero's early game is that because the Tarkbake stacks up in mana cost, you just don't have the mana to support it. As you can see, I used it twice, and I now can't use it a third time, because I just don't have the mana. Even with the Kindled Fury mana boost, I can't use it 3 times. But then the stacks wear off, and I can use another Tarkbake to finish off the Nighthound. This is the last clip from this game, and Nighthound's gonna get support from Revenant this time around. But I activate the ultimate, and as you can see, it heals me quite a bit. And I now just keep on spamming the Tarkbake while they restore my mana. And it keeps me alive throughout the entire fight. One more Tarkbake, and I am able to finish off the Nighthound. And now actually Revenant is in a little bit of trouble. I don't have the mana for another Tarkbake, but now I do, but I can't get in range, and he will get away. It was very close, only on 40 HP, but that was a 1-on-2 fight. But I also have to show you the other side. Now, in this game, I play against a Dr. Repulsor in the mid lane. 1v1, Oogie versus Doctor. And I can use my Tarkbake to last it, just a few creeps, but I can't use that consistently if I am not able to actually fill up my mana with my passive. Now here starts the problem. As you can see, I use my mana to harass the Doctor, he is pretty low now. But from this point on, he just forces me out of the lane consistently. And at one point he even punishes me for getting too close to the creeps and just straight up kills me. It's pretty much impossible to restore your mana in such a scenario and keep on spamming. As you can see, yet again, he just keeps on going with the harassment and I really can't do anything. This hero doesn't have a lot of lane presence on his own. He is powerful in a one-on-one mini scenario. He's powerful in a laning scenario actually, because the slow is very useful. But he really isn't that good against a ranged hero or any powerful solo actually. Here we are, yet again, pushing. This time around I actually got myself a Shrunken Head, which is a great item, but it's so cool though because I had to use it, sadly enough. Now I am already pretty low and I dodge the Gladiator ultimate. Activate my own, and here we go. Pyromancer ultimate used a lot of damage coming out, but I do have my Configurate activated, which is healing me quite a bit, and am also able to spam my Tarkbake. And as you can see, they just don't have damage to bring me down. But now I'm in a little bit of trouble, because my ultimate goes off and I now have to fall back. But we still managed to get 2 kills and take down their tower, so that was a pretty good fight. And yeah. Now this is gonna be the last clip of this video. And we are now pushing the bottom lane. I got the Token of Life and start running in. Just plain out trying to die, but they don't focus me. And I just try to put out DPS, but I'm no low on mana. Activate the ultimate because I really wanted to be actually able to spam, but they said enough get dropped right away. Activate the Shiva's Guard and running around with the Configurate, putting out quite a bit of damage, like 139 DPS and a pretty big radius. It's quite amazing. It's pretty much as powerful as 3 Mock of Brilliances. And yeah, so we managed to take out the bottom racks. activate the ultimate just to regenerate a little bit more mana, because I really need mana right now. And Bramble comes, and I'm just barely alive. Very close right there. And oh, Pandemonium jumps in. This is gonna get really close actually. Pandemonium will get taken off by my Conflagrate. The passive damage is very powerful again. And he managed to take out both Barretts. Delina comes in, activate the Shrunken Head right before, and just gonna try to get away, which Tablet of Command will allow me to do. So yeah.
Now I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like somewhere, I don't know where. You can go do it either here on the video, maybe like my Facebook or something along these lines. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I do these every time a new hero gets released. At least that's what I try to do, that's what I aspire to do. And I just hope that the lighting is better next time around, but I just want to put out this video today, so I'm really sorry for that. Yes, I know I'm wearing a Teemo hat, but I don't care. I like it. So, see ya next time.